So why do you think you are interested in running for board then?
So me running for board, I'm not running for board to push for like a particular political idea or something, but more going back into like the base of USU, you know, being like the organization to provide the best student experience. So I'm here to like use whatever knowledge or skills that I possibly have to really push to improve students' experience on campus, because I think there's still a lot of room for like improvement. So yeah, that's why I want to join the board.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, could you please tell us three of your favorite policies?
My favorite
three favorite policies, yeah.
All right. So first one, I think this one might be my favorite of all, is that I want to have like a USU reusable cup that you can just borrow and return with your the USU app. There's a barcode that you can scan. So you can scan that, you borrow a reusable cup at any cafe owned by USU. When you're done, you can return it at another cafe. So I wanted to do this because I was inspired by this company called I think it's called eCanteen or something. They are doing this like free reusable cup rental. And then I also read that last year in Pride Festival Learn, USU used up to like 10K paper cups in 3 to 5 days, and I think that's detrimental to the environment. So yeah, that's my first policy that I really like. Another one would be like having students to design their own UC hoodie. So now the UC hoodie, like I don't know who designed it, but I feel like it lacks a bit of like student input in it. And since I know that I think the art students are joining our main campus this year, so I want to give everyone the opportunity to design the UC hoodie, like the official merchandise. And then the third one would be there's so many to choose from. The third one would be to renovate the ISL, because like ISL was supposed to be like a lounge for international students to rest, but I feel like it's really run down now, and like it's not that good as of now. So I want to kind of improve it to make sure that more students are willing to use that space, because I feel like that space is like underused now. Like so many people, when I ask them, do you ever use the ISL? They always tell me no. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, so if you have read through our report on USU before, USU is running a very low revenue right now, and it's facing unpredicted financial stresses due to the coronavirus. So if you had to cut down some of the fundings in USU, what would you cut it from the current operations that USU is running?
That's a very good question. Well, for me personally, I will cut down from Make a Difference, so MAD, because as of now, even though MAD, I think it's for a really good purpose to help other people in need, right? But as of now, because USU, I feel like USU doesn't have enough revenue and doesn't have enough like time and like effort to run MAD. So instead of putting fundings on MAD, I would rather USU cut down that funding for now and put that on like helping students instead, to make sure that students' campus life and experience is like well protected and supported before we move on to help other people in need. So yeah, I will always place students first. That's why I will cut down from MAD.
Okay, sure. The next one is, what do you think is what is the one thing you think that USU has done well during your time in uni?
I think that USU has done really well in like really promoting diversity and also including the minorities in like a lot of the events and like operations they do. So like say last year's election, I know that there's like affirmative action to like women's portfolio holders. I think that's really good, because like you know, like even though people always say that there's gender equality now, but I feel like there's still glass ceiling in a lot of places. So like it's nice to see that USU even putting affirmative action for like women's portfolio holder in like elections. And like they also like in terms of diversity, like they consider all the different type of like groups like international students, like LGBTQ plus people. So I think this work USU has done really well.
Can you give me a more specific example for it?
Oh yeah, sorry. So affirmative action for women's portfolio holder in election last year, and then Pride Festival for LGBTQ plus group people, and then like international festival for like all the international students. So yeah, things like this that just make me feel like, oh, maybe the uni is like thinking of me, you know, as a woman or like as an international student. So that's what I really like about USU.
Thank you. So do you think there should be more affirmative actions like for international students?
I mean, as an international student, I want to say yes, right? But like, there's so many international students on campus now. Like, I feel like we're not really that much of a minority anymore. And like, I don't mind affirmative actions, but I feel like for a really important role, I think it should still be based on like the students' merit and like their abilities instead of just the kind of background or like, you know, the kind of portfolio they hold. I think that's unfair. Like if you exclude someone who's really capable just because of affirmative action, to an extent, I think that's not very appropriate.
Okay, so what do you think is the one thing that USU has done poorly during your time in uni?
I mean, okay, so I've said that I really like how their events promote diversity, but then at the same time, I also realized that some of the events that they do, like it kind of lacks like a purpose behind. Like they're only doing it for the sake of doing it. Say for the Pride Festival. I really like the Pride Festival, like all these rainbow decorations and like rainbow food, nice things. But like I think like the whole reason behind Pride Festival should be like, you know, pushing for what the LGBTQ plus community is really needing for. So like understanding and like they're not solving the actual problem, you know, like educating students more about this. And so I just think like for their events there should be like a deeper level to it instead of just the surface like decorations and like creating the mood and yeah.
Okay, thank you. So earlier you mentioned that you think you're very political neutral and you don't actually lean to any side. So do you think how political do you think the USU should be?
I think this is a tough question. I mean, maybe let's say 50%, just like a nice balance. So like, because USU is such a big platform, so obviously if there's like a good cause behind a political action, then USU should go for it. But I feel like if all USU is doing is like political stuff, then it is going away from its own vision and purpose. So I think 50% would be good. Yeah, I definitely don't want them to not have any political thing at all, and then that in the case would be like, I don't know, it might put like minority groups in like disadvantages and stuff. So yeah, I think 50% will be my choice.
Okay, so if saying like I'm running the election because I'm carrying the political wishes for my fractions or my political parties behind me, do you think it should be the platform for the students to realize their political beliefs?
I don't really have an opinion for this. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, I feel like this is like one of the best platform in uni that you can get, you know, to become a board director to push for your beliefs. So if somebody wants to do that, want to represent that faction, I'm totally fine with it. Like it's just that me myself, I don't see myself ever be like joining any political party and represent a particular fraction. It's not for me, but I can understand why other students would do it, and I think it's their own free choice.
Okay, thank you. So there is one very controversial decision that USU has made, which is they allow the anti-abortion group to become a club. And many people oppose on this basis because of potential impacts on the students who have had abortion. So what's your position on how USU should approach controversial clubs like the anti-abortion one and other society that are controversial?
Well, I think what the USU did currently is okay. Like it's fine. I mean, I know why people are against abortion, or like why some people are, you know, pro-choice and pro-life. I know that, but I think because everybody will have different opinions for this, right? And if Australia is a country that is for like free speech and like freedom of thinking and stuff, I don't see why USU should take a particular side and say like, oh no, because you think differently, you can't start a club. You can't find other students who think the same as you. Like, I think that's a little bit too harsh, and then you're shutting down like ideas from the opposite side. So I think what USU did now is fine. Like they just let them start a club. Nobody is forcing anybody to join the anti-abortion club. I can understand why people are upset, but then like just because somebody else thinks different, I don't think it's good for you to just push to shut them down. Like if you don't agree with them, maybe just don't join their club. And like if you really want to prove your point, maybe you guys can start a debate or something. But yeah, I don't think USU, because USU is for all students. You know, just because a few students have controversial ideas and then you shut them down, you don't let them do what they can do if they had a popular opinion, then I think that's unfair on USU's part. So, yeah.
Okay, so you feel like as long as this group exists, they have the very rights to become a party or become a club or a society, right?
I mean, if they are students, if a group of students have that mindset and if they want to start a club, then yes, why can't they start a club? But obviously, if they have actions that like go over the line, or like, you know, they're being overboard or whatever, then I think it's fine to shut them down. But if they haven't done anything, they just wanted to find like-minded people, then I don't think they should be shut down. But it's not like I agree with either side. So yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, so you know, board directors have like magnificent duties to the USU, which means sometimes you have to put the board's interest above your own interest, and it can be sued for acting against its interest. If something bad was happening in the USU, would you consider leaking it? And if not, what would you do?
Leaking it. Oh, well, what do you mean by something bad happened to USU? Like, do you have any examples of it?
Saying like a corruption.
Oh, corruption. Oh yeah, I think all these very tough questions. All right, as a board director, obviously I have duty to protect this organization and keep it going. If something bad happens, I think I will try to sort it out internally first, like see if there's anything I can do internally, say with other board directors, that we can solve the problem about USU. But then if it's something like if most people in the organization is like morally wrong, and then like I know that like big corruption is happening, and like students are like, I don't know, if the students are like disadvantaged and stuff like that, and I can't solve the problem by myself, I might choose to seek help from outside. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question is very closely related to yourself and the group you're representing. So do you think USU is doing enough to support the international student community? If yes, then what do you find to be particularly successful?
International student in particular, I don't think that they really supported our group like that well. I mean, okay, it's okay, you know, like there's international festival, there's like multicultural food in USU cafes, but that's all on like the surface. That's like the very superficial things that I would say like, yeah, like appreciate that, but you know, it's not really that much of a support, I guess. Yeah.
So if you're thinking, if you think they're doing poorly, then which aspect do you think they should improve the most?
Which aspect? It's so hard. I feel like maybe in terms of say like the employment of students, right? Because I was the campus activity coordinator. So even though international students can also apply to this, but because of the language barrier, obviously, I grew up in Singapore, so like my language barrier is not that like strong. I'm okay with English, right? But some say like, I don't know, students from like Europe or like Asia, you know, they can't speak English as well or things like that. But like when they try to like apply to USU's jobs for students, like or like leadership opportunities, they have to compete with all these English speakers. And a lot of the times, like if they can't speak English properly, I feel like USU don't even consider like giving them a chance because they think, oh, you know, they can't speak English properly. So I don't know, maybe their capability is not that good. But like maybe some of the candidates, their ability is there, right? They just need a bit more help or like a bit more time getting used to working using like English and stuff. So yeah, maybe in that aspect, because a lot of international students actually apply to the campus activity coordinator with me, but I'm the only one that got in, like in terms of international students. So yeah.
Okay. So about supporting international students, specifically related to the coronavirus thing and the travel ban, do you think USU is doing enough to support them?
Actually, to be fair, I can't recall what USU did to support, but wait, I think not really. Okay, they did give a lot of moral support, I would say. Like I did see encouraging posts on their social media, which is nice because I did get attacked a lot by some people regarding coronavirus issues, and I just think like, yeah, it feels quite bad to be attacked for something that you didn't do just because you are from a particular group. So it's nice to see that USU always encourage like equality and like no racial discrimination, and they encourage the international students in a time like this. But in terms of other support, like proper support, say like people need financial support and stuff like that, I don't think they did much for that. But I also understand USU is like in a financial difficulty now, so that's not very possible for them. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So if you got selected as a board member, and how would you ensure that the student feedbacks will be taken into consideration when USU, the board, is making their decisions?
How do I ensure that?
How do you ensure that feedback is taken into consideration?
How do I ensure? I mean, during board meetings, I would definitely like, I don't know, pull out all these feedback that students give, and then like go through them seriously and remind everybody like, okay, regarding this issue, what is the majority of the student body saying? And then like reminding them of like all these other feedbacks that they should take into account, I guess. I mean, I feel like you can't really make sure the feedbacks are being heard. I mean, for me, right, I would definitely always, like, if I have to make a decision by myself, I would definitely like take all the feedback in and think about it before I make a decision. But if it's in a board meeting, I would try my best to persuade other people to listen to the feedback. But in the end, the majority voting, like what they want to choose is still up to them, I think. Like I would play the role of like a reminder and like a persuader, but ultimately I can't decide what other people choose to do with their vote.
Okay. The next one is, how would you ensure that the USU caters to all the USU students?
How will I ensure USU cares?
Caters.
Oh, caters to all
Caters,
the,
yeah.
I feel like USU is already doing pretty good now catering to all, because like I did read up about it. They have quite a few like minority portfolios that they are considering. But I guess what I would try to do even more is like obviously combining with the feedback from students to make sure that I'm not leaving any groups out. And then when USUs are planning events or like they're pushing out like new policies and stuff, I think I'll be sure to check like list by list, like, okay, if we do the event like this, are we excluding anybody? Like, is this event okay for all groups to join, or like some people are excluded? Yeah. Because I've been planning some of the campus events as the CAC. So when we are planning it, like I've really tried to like think of all these minorities that UC have, and then see how we can include everybody. So yeah.
Okay. So does other editors have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could expand a little bit more about how being a campus activity coordinator has informed your policies, or any kind of useful lessons that that experience has taught you.
Oh, okay. Sure. How it has expanded. Okay, so being the campus activity coordinator, it helped me like to understand the USU a bit more, because I had to read up more about USU and see what kind of events that USU has been doing. And then in the process, I did see some like improvements that USU can do, you know, say like how because USU used to use the paper cup as a form of like marketing strategy. So they print things on paper cups and to promote events. But in that process, they waste a lot of paper cups, and I think that's better ways to do it. That's why, and then after I look into it, I realized that, oh, like, you know, that's not really like, I don't know, keep cup discount for everybody. Like, it's only for rewards member and stuff. So that's why like it pushed me, like particularly for my reusable cups policy. That's what inspired me. And then in the process of being a tech, I guess, because I had to like engage with a lot of students and talk to them, see how they think about USU and what they think of USU's events. And I got a lot of like, I would say a lot of like negative feedbacks, and they told me a lot of places that USU can improve. So through being a CAC and talking to students at all these events, like I realized like how much more potential that USU, like how much more can USU improve, and like what can we potentially do. And I guess that can sort of help me better like representing like students benefit, because for me, I don't represent any political party. So for me, I would say, like, I don't say I represent international students also, because if you look at my policies, it's for both international students and domestic students. So I'm all here for like student benefits, student experience, student life. So being a CAC, like planning things for students, that definitely helped me into like, you know, that definitely like inspired me for all these policies. And also I think, yeah, it's like a very precious experience.
Cool, thanks. And the other question is, at a recent USU meeting, I think the one before last, Pulp asked President Conoway about whether the USU would be doing things like advocating for student housing, or advocating for mark changes as a result of COVID-19. And he replied that he thought that was kind of generally the SRC's role, and that the USU should stay out of it. Do you think that the USU should be advocating about those kind of student issues?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so. Like, I feel like USU as one of the biggest like platform in UC, like definitely they should work hand in hand with SRC. And then because I've been part of like the student housing actions of SRC actually, and I feel like it really takes a lot of work for like and a lot of work and effort for everybody to come together and prefer an idea. And then since USU have this platform, and if they support these ideas, they should definitely advocate it together with SRC so that like students can actually benefit, or like students in need can be helped. Because I have a few friends like living in student accommodation with me, like they were facing like rent issue and stuff, and they were so afraid of being like evicted and throughout the accommodation. So yeah, that was a stressful period. But luckily SRC got it sorted out. So I think USU should be part of it also. And if they do it, it will definitely improve USU's name like in students, because a lot of students feel like USU don't really do anything useful. But I want to make sure that USU becomes something that's useful to students, and students will like this organization. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. The next question is about sort of student experience. So given that, I guess over the last few years, student life on campus has really become less important, like Manning Bar shut down and a lot of students aren't really engaging with those kind of outlets. Do you have any ideas about how we could invigorate those aspects of student life?
You mean like, wait, sorry, can you just elaborate your question a bit? You mean like in terms of like the Manning Bar aspect? Or
yeah, like... so not necessarily Manning Bar, but just I guess making more events and things on campus that students can engage with.
Oh, I see. I feel like the key thing is that USU currently, I feel like USU don't really have like a very effective feedback channel. So, you know, like when I was not a CAC, right? I go to these events and I have like ideas or I have feedbacks, but I don't know who to talk to. Like, but now I know I can talk to board directors and stuff. But usually, like, you really don't know who to talk to, and then CAC sitting in the office trying to like brainstorm ourselves, but we don't know what most of the students really want. Like maybe we know some, but like a lot of these other event ideas that could come from students, it didn't. And then I think for USC to really engage the student, they have to like be more open to feedback and like have more like effective feedback channel. I don't know, students can just feedback on USC website or like Facebook or something, so that we know like what student wants. If students don't want Manning Bar to be shut down, then don't shut down Manning Bar. Yeah. And then if students want like a particular kind of event to like be improved, then we can take in the feedback and like improve it to the best that we can. Yeah.
Sure. The next question I have is about the Vice Chancellor, Michael Spence. So he is leaving the uni at the end of the year, and the USU has asked to be involved in the selection process for the next Vice Chancellor. Would you, if you're elected, have any particular traits or preferences about what kind of person would be selected to be the new Vice Chancellor?
Traits. First of all, definitely very inclusive person and very like diverse. Like I feel like if as the Vice Chancellor, like if you are biased towards a certain group, like no matter if it's like international student or domestic student, like you can't really make the best choice for all the students in uni. So I want somebody who is like, you know, inclusive and they think about both sides of stuff. And then the second one would be like probably like a very, I don't know, like a kind and experienced one, I guess. Like, yeah. But to me, like inclusivity is one of the most important traits.
Great. And then I just have a couple of kind of administrative questions, I guess. So the first one is, are there any candidates who are running who you particularly like or would like to make a preference deal with? And then are there any candidates who you wouldn't consider working with or who you, you know, maybe would prefer not to make a preference deal with?
Oh, I don't really know like most of the candidates in real life. So I can't really say I have a preference for anybody because I don't understand. I don't know them personally that well. But preference deals, I don't know. Maybe Belinda because she has a cat, so maybe we can connect. And there's not anybody that I don't want to make preference deal with. Like I'm really open to all of them. I think as long as the person is like if people come and talk to me about it, and like they are like nice, they're professional, and then I think if they get elected, it can really benefit the students also, then I might make a preference deal with them. But yeah, currently I don't have a preference because I also don't understand these politics things. So yeah, I don't really mind.
Fair enough. The next question is, do you have a person who's managing your campaign? And if so, who?
Oh yeah, I do have a manager. Her name is Phoebe. So she's a domestic student from Queensland. I mean, she's in UC, but she was born in Queensland. Yeah, so we are really good friends. And then because I also want to make policies for domestic students. Actually, no, it's because most of my policies are for both groups. That's why I wanted to have a manager who can give me more input for domestic students also. And she happened to be one of my best friends. So yeah, she became my manager.
Great. And then the final question is just what color are you planning on running with?
So I'm running with navy blue, if you can see my hair. Same color as my hair. I actually dyed my hair just for the campaign, but yeah, I'm using navy blue. Yeah.
That's dedicated. I ran on yellow and I'm blonde, so I didn't need to dye
it. Last year, remember you were at ABS, and then I was at ABS with you also, and then we were pulling both together. I don't think you remember me, but I do remember you because you had your very cute wing liner and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool. Does any other editor have questions?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm good too.
Cool. I think we're all done then.
Yay.
Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you guys for the interview.
Thank you.